Welcome into this industry update presented by Tenstreet. I'm Isaiah Buchanan, and joining me is Tim Crawford, the CEO over at Tenstreet. Tim, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well, Isaiah. Thank you. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you as well. Let's go ahead and get right into it. It's been almost 2 years since you've acquired StayMetrics. What would you say is new these days?
Yeah, lots of things are new. Lots of things are new with the work we're doing with StayMetrics. I mean, if anything, what's happened over the last couple of years is retention has gotten even more important to the industry and to our clients. It was important when we first connected with them, and it's even more so now. I mean, it's hard to find drivers. It's hard to find good drivers, and it's even more important to retain them. And the products from StayMetrics and their industry knowledge and professionalism has really helped us figure out, okay, how do we help do a better job helping our clients retain their drivers?
And you talked about driver retention. How would you say, or what is one big way that carriers could retain some of their drivers?
I mean, I think that the biggest thing that we see is, drivers leave for specific reasons, and a lot of those specific reasons are fixable. But the problem is twofold. One, you can't fix problems you don't know. You don't know exactly what they are. And so trying to have a program that goes out and engages with drivers and understands both on an individual and on a fleet-wide basis, what are the issues that matter to drivers today is really important. Issue one. And issue two, how do you do that at scale, right? How do you do that across the fleet when everybody is so incredibly busy? It's hard to find the hours in the day. It's hard to find a program where you can do that systemically and really get that feedback so you can really work on the things that matter to drivers and really make things better.
So would you say a great way to reach out to all of the drivers would be maybe a survey or so?
We think that's a really great path. It's a really great path. And being able to ask drivers questions about what are the big areas, what's really going on, right? Does the fleet have issues with, say, how drivers are interacting with the maintenance department, or after hours dispatch, or we keep having problems with pay, or benefits types questions. How many of those things are driving drivers to quit that could be fixed if you just knew what they were, right? And so we think surveys are a great way to know that, and do that in a way that's light touch for the carrier, right? And super efficient for the driver, right? It's a process that they're going to engage in.
So when carriers are conducting these surveys, what is one thing that they may overlook?
I think the biggest thing we see is closing the loop with that driver. We call closing the loop an intervention. And if the survey becomes just kind of a mail slot that the driver drops his feedback into and never hears anything back, even if the carrier's working on the issues that came up in that survey, it's going to leave the driver with a bad taste in their mouth, right? And not get the benefits you're really looking for. On the other hand, when carriers engage with that driver that had an issue or had a question, even if the answer to the question is no, we can't really do anything about that, right? But we heard you, and we appreciate the work you're doing, and we're doing what we can, but we just can't make that request happen. When you close the loop with those drivers, what happens is that tangible sign of treating that driver as professionals that they are. That turns into drivers who leave less often. It just does. We see drivers that have interventions worked successfully where carriers reach back out and connect. Just the fact of working that intervention, on average across the fleet, works out to about 30 days extra of tenure, 95 times out of 100. And 3 out of 4 times, it turns into 90 plus days of additional tenure, right? And so that's the number one thing that we see really driving big results for fleets.
So we're talking a lot about driver retention and not recruiting. Is it cheaper for carriers to retain their drivers rather than recruit new ones?
I think the answer to that is undoubtedly yes. We do lots and lots in the recruiting space. And recruiting is hard and recruiting is expensive. between recruitment advertising and orientation and training in those first couple of weeks where productivities, may not be where everybody wants it. That becomes expensive, and it can become even more expensive if the position that you're recruiting for, that truck is on the fence, not earning any revenue. And if the flip side of that is, hey, if you can find and fix those problems, that turns into a happier driver and a more engaged driver with a much longer tenure. And I think the challenge or the opportunity is, as fleets engage with those drivers, they get great insights into both, hey, what's going on systemically with the fleet, but also what's going on with these individual drivers, where they can actually move the needle sort of one person at a time, which we think is a win-win, right? It can be both and that's really where we're focused.
And how would you say safety is tied to retention?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, and I think it all has to do with alignment. When we see clients that use surveys and we compare them to sort of our population, our client base overall, clients that are using surveys have about half the number of CSA violations per truck. So it really drops down, and we think that's because it changes the tenor, right? A successful survey program, engagement program, it changes and it sends a signal that your safety and engagement aren't something the fleets are doing to drivers. It's something they're doing with drivers. And so everybody's working together to solve the same set of problems. And that turns into safer operation, and it also turns into operation with lower turnover rate.
Tim, I want to thank you for taking the time and giving us this information on driver retention and how it can help carriers and make our roads a little bit safer. If people want some more information on Tenstreet, where can they go?
Yeah, fantastic. They can just go to Tenstreet.com and read all about kind of the specific things we do, and we'd love to talk to them.
Thanks again, Tim.
Hey, my pleasure. Thank you.